One day, a young man felt very sad and hopeless. Everywhere he went, people around him, his family, friends, and even strangers, kept saying negative things. "You can't do," they told him. "You're not good enough." Over time, these words became so heavy that the young man started to believe them. He felt trapped, surrounded by darkness, and didn't know what to do. Feeling lost, he decided to visit a wise monk known for helping people with his advice. When he met the monk, the young man shared his feelings. "Master," he said, "I feel stuck. People always bring me down with their words and actions. I try to stay positive, but their negativity feels like a prison. I don't know how to move forward. How can I grow when everyone and everything around me is against me?" The monk listened patiently and smiled kindly. After a moment, he said, "Come with me." The monk led the young man to a quiet pond filled with beautiful lotus flowers. The flowers floated gracefully on the surface of the water. The monk pointed to the flowers and asked, "Do you see these lotus flowers?" "Yes, master," the young man said. "They are so beautiful." The monk smiled and nodded. "Do you know where the lotus grows?" The young man thought for a moment and said, "In muddy water." "That's correct," the monk said. "The lotus grows in the dirtiest, most muddy water. It cannot choose where it grows. But even though it is surrounded by mud, the lotus doesn't let the mud touch it. It rises above the water and blooms beautifully, reaching for the sunlight. The mud doesn't stop it. Instead, it focuses on the sunlight and grows into something pure and amazing." The young man looked at the monk, trying to understand the lesson. The muddy water, the monk explained, represents the negativity and challenges in life. Just like the lotus cannot choose to avoid the mud, you cannot always avoid the negativity around you. People may doubt you, criticize you, or try to hold you back. That's how life is sometimes. But you have a choice: you can let the mud pull you down, or you can rise above it. Like the lotus, you must focus on the sunlight, your hopes, dreams, and the positive things in life. The young man frowned. "But master, how can I ignore the mud when it's everywhere? It feels too much for me." The monk smiled gently. "The mud is not your enemy," he said. "The lotus doesn't hate the mud. In fact, it needs the mud. The mud gives it a place to grow its roots. Without the mud, the lotus couldn't exist." In the same way, the challenges and negativity in your life can help you grow stronger. They can teach you patience, resilience, and how to rise above. The mud can't stop you if you keep reaching for the light. The monk bent down, picked a lotus flower, and handed it to the young man. "Take this lotus," he said. "Let it remind you of this lesson. No matter how dirty the water is, the lotus stays clean and beautiful. It doesn't let the mud touch its petals. Be like the lotus. Let the mud make your roots strong, but always keep your heart and mind focused on the sunlight above. Rise above the mud, and let the light guide you." The young man held the lotus in his hands. As he looked at it, he began to understand what the monk meant. He realized he didn't have to fight the negativity around him or let it define him. Instead, he could use it as a way to grow and reach his dreams. The young man smiled, feeling lighter. "Thank you, master," he said. "I will remember this. I will be like the lotus. The mud will make me stronger, and the sunlight will help me grow." From that day on, the young man's attitude changed. Whenever he felt surrounded by negativity, he thought of the lotus. He stopped letting others' doubts and criticisms hold him back. Instead, he used them as motivation to push forward. Like the lotus, he rose above the mud and reached for the sunlight, becoming the best version of himself. If we see in our life, we often encounter moments where negativity surrounds us. It may come from others' words, actions, or even our own doubts. Like the young man in the story, many of us have faced situations that feel like a heavy burden, making it difficult to rise above the challenges. But the lesson of the lotus teaches us something powerful: growth doesn't happen in perfect conditions. Just as the lotus thrives in muddy water, we too can flourish despite the difficulties we face. Each of us has the ability to rise above the negativity around us. We may not be able to control the challenges or criticisms others throw our way, but we can choose how we respond. By focusing on what truly matters, our dreams, hopes, and aspirations, we can find the strength to push forward, just like the lotus reaching for the sunlight. So, whenever life feels overwhelming, remember the lotus. Embrace the struggles, let them build your foundation, and always strive to grow towards the light. In doing so, we will discover that, just like the lotus, we too can bloom beautifully, no matter what surrounds us.